is up, y'all? It is me, Tasha C, and welcome to the Tasha C Show podcast. Shout out to my YouTube, my podcast fam, and if you're part of my podcast fan and would like to know how to join, or you feel like, going to the YouTube channel, don't forget to type in Tasha C TV in the YouTube search area. Also, another way around, vice versa. If you don't, want to hear my, my podcast on the podcast platforms, including Speaker, you can also check them out. Usually, it's for description below, where it will show other podcast platforms where I have my show, and which includes like Apple Podcasts and so forth, and Stitcher and Spotify, and also Podchaser as well. I mean, of course, I'm multiple ones of that, but Podchaser as well. But Podchaser is not on the app yet. So when they get an app, I'll surely let y'all know. Okay, y'all, this is day 4, also my mom's birthday, of our Kings and Queens Next Door. This is actually my second attempt because when I went to actually go to the websites, I'm not gonna lie, I was watching a YouTuber on Twitch and somehow, and even though the video didn't come on, the app picked up as if it was an open, a file, which means if you're recording y'all for future notes, if you want to do podcasts and you like using the app or something on the cell phone. Unfortunately, if you hit like a link sometimes accidentally or something happens, an error can come up where, it'll play the media file. And unfortunately, it will stop the show. And it'll be like, thank you. Do you want to save this as drafts? And automatically, stop and say you are completed with your, recording. So anyway, I'm on right now this site called Cafe Mom. And wait a minute. Why did it just take me? Okay, I was going to say. Okay. And it's called 28 Cool and Surprising Black History Facts for Every Day of the Month. I'm not going, if that's the case, then if it's every day of the month, well, I'm already a couple days behind. So I'm just going to read the first 4 and just do it that way. And it's 28, so Caffey Williams was the one and only female Buffalo soldier, posing as a man named William Caffrey to enlist in the 38th Infantry in 1866. She served 2 years before a doctor discovered she was born a woman, leading to her discharge. Both Condoleezza Rice and Martin Luther King Jr. started college when they were just 15 years old. She studied political science at the University of Denver. He majored sociology at Morehouse College in Atlanta. Journalist Ida Wells Burnett refused to give up her railcar seat for a white man, railcar seat for a white man in 1884, and bit a conductor on the hand when he tried to force her. She was dragged off the train. She sued the railroad and initially won, but the decision was overturned. Ain't that something? In 2008, Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt became the first man to ever set 3 world records in a single Olympic Games. Okay, so let me go here. And we're going to go back. I was like on number 38. It's like little known facts about Black history. So it's like 120 facts if this is your first time listening to me. And I was going to go to Instagram and just try to repeat the ones I already went off. But some of them already took off the bookmark. Like basically saved them. So I still had some left. But after that, y'all, I'll probably get back to them tomorrow since this occurred. Okay. Now, I was on probably fact 38. Yes, I was on fact 38. Okay. This is from biography.com. And I know that should be already in the description because that's one of the main ones I was using making these notes. Reading information from. Fact 38. Ella Fitzgerald, known for having a remarkable 3-octave range, got her start at the Apollo Theater. Fact 39. After a friend and musical partner Tammy Terrell died of a brain tumor, a Green Marble Gay recorded his future single What's Going On, having Detroit Lions athletes Lynn Barney and Mel Farr lay down vocals for the song intro. I never know that. Gail met with the Lions coach Joe Smith to propose the idea of playing for the team, which Smith turned down. Now, a note to that, y'all. I remember Mel Farr when he had a car dealership here in the Detroit area near there, and used to have a commercial when he said "Male Power to Rescue" and have a Superman cape on. Okay, so I did not know. I know that was ignorant to me that I did not know he was originally a Detroit sniper. They said real far and also lay down vocals. Okay, it's interesting, but And by the way, y'all, if you listen to yesterday's podcast where I talked about the Muse brothers, probably once I get out of here, I may either talk about them tonight or talk about them in a very, maybe, it'll be in the near future. Okay. But anyway, okay. Fact 40. Nancy Green, who was formerly enslaved, was employed in the 1890s to promote the Ajamia brand by demonstrating the pancake mix at expeditions and fairs. And she was a popular attraction because of her friendly personality, storytelling skills, and warmth. Green signed a lifetime contract with the Pancake Company, and her image was used for packagings and ads. Okay, fact 41. Famed guitarist Jimi Hendrix, known by close friends and family members as simply as Buster. Okay, fact 42. Joshua. Oh, wait. What am I gonna say? Joseph Henson fled slavery in Maryland in 1830 and later found a settlement in Ontario, Canada for other black citizens who escaped. His article the life of Joseph Henson, formerly a slave, now inhabitant of Canada, as narrated by himself, 1849, is believed to have been Harriet Beecher Stowe's inspiration for the main character in Uncle Tom's Cabin. And I actually talked about that in another podcast. I wish I kept that to remember. A podcast about the real Uncle Tom, which, the real Uncle Tom was about saving folks. Even when I had to read that book for one of my classes and did a report on that book with Arthur. So, the real Uncle Tom actually was not a person that betrayed, black people and so forth. Actually, he was the one to help people, but they ended up changing to basically slander the real Uncle Tom's name and to make it as if, he backstabbed and betrayed. Okay? Alright, but fact 43. African-American Matthew Henson, accompanied by Robert Uriah Perry on the first successful U.S. expedition I actually had read this before, but I might as well go ahead and finish it now, to the North Pole, reaching their destination April 6, 1909. In 2000, Henson was posthumously awarded the National Geographic Society Herbert Medal. Now, I talked about this in yesterday's podcast about it, where they talked about, some of these little unknown facts may be talking about the same person or persons, but it may be a little bit more different information about them. So it was another website where I just looked at, I think it was some Thoughts Company, where I talked about the part about him, and basically Robert Perry got the credit because he wasn't a black man. So, unfortunately, okay? And, But fact 44, Strange Fruit, the song about black lynching in the South made famous by blues singer Billie Holiday, was originally a poem written by Abel Marple, a Jewish school teacher from the Bronx, New York. Fact 45, the father of renowned scribe Langston Hughes discouraged his son from writing, wanting him to take a more practical vocation. Oh, the father of the... Fact 46, Jesse Jackson celebrates the same birthday. I know that's random. Jesse Jackson successfully negotiated the release of Lieutenant Robert O. Goodman Jr., an African-American pilot who had been shot down over Syria and taken hostage in 1983. Fact 47. The king of pop, Michael Jackson, co-wrote the single "We Are the World" with Motown legend Lionel Richie. The track became one of the best-selling singles of all time, earning millions of dollars donated to famine relief in Africa. Fact 48. Abolitionist Harriet Ann Jacobs published Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl in 1861 under the excuse me, y'all, I should have remembered, under the name Linda Brent. The book chronicles the hardships and sexual abuse she experienced as a woman growing up in slavery. Jacobs fled slavery in 1835 by hiding in a crawl space in her grandmother's attic for 7 years before traveling to Philadelphia by boat and eventually to New York. Fact 49. Rapper Jay-Z reportedly developed his stage name as a reference to New York's Jay-Z subway lines, which have a stop in his Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn neighborhood. Fact 50. The popular clothing line FUBU stands for us, by Us, was originally created by designer Damon John along with 3 other friends that were supported by fellow Queens native LL Cool J. Okay. Fact 51. Jack Johnson, the first African-American heavyweight champion, patented a wrench in 1922. And this is going to be my last fact from this, and I'm going to go to another website. Fact 52. After the success of Negro Digest, publisher John H. Johnson decided to create a magazine to showcase black achievement while also looking at current issues affecting African Americans. The first issue's publication, Albany, sold out in a matter of hours. Okay. So, let's go here. I'm about to go. I've also been using the PBS Black Culture site as well. Okay. Alright. Indo-Cochin was introduced to America by a slave. Few details known about the birth of Oneness, but it is assumed that he was born in Africa in the late 17th century before eventually landing in Boston. 1,000 people, African descendants living in the Massachusetts colony. Others was a gift to the Puritan church minister Cotton Mather from his congregation in 1706. Albert is told Matt about the centuries-old tradition of intercalation practice in Africa. By exaggerating material from an infected person and scratching it into the skin of an unaffected person, you could deliberately induce smallpox to the healthy individual, making them immune. Considered extremely dangerous at the time, Cotton Mather convinced Dr. Zebediah Boston to experiment with the procedure with a smallpox epidemic hit Boston in 1721, and over 240 people were inoculated, opposed politically, religiously, and medically in the United States and abroad. Public reaction to the experiment put Matter and Boston's lives in danger, despite records indicating that only 2% of patients requesting inoculation died compared to the 50% of people not isolated who contracted smallpox. Arbor's traditional African practice was used to inoculate American soldiers during the Revolutionary War and introduced the concept of inoculation to the United States. The earliest recorded protest against slavery was by the Quakers in 1688. Quakers, also known as the Society of Friends, have a long history of abolition. But it was 4 Pennsylvania Friends from Germantown who wrote the initial protest in the 17th century. They saw the slave trade as a grave injustice against their fellow man and used the Golden Rule to argue against such inhumane treatment, regardless of skin color. We should do unto others as we would have done unto ourselves. In their protest, they stated, "Pray, what thing in the world can be done worse towards us than if men should rob or steal us away and sell us for slaves to strange countries, separating husbands from their wife and children?" Their protest against slavery and human trafficking was presented at monthly meeting in Dublin in Philadelphia. The Dublin monthly meeting reviewed the protest but sent it to the quarterly meetings, feeling it to be too serious an issue for their own meeting to decide. The 4 friends continued their efforts and presented at the Philadelphia yearly meeting But it wasn't until 88 years later that the Society of Friends officially denounced slavery. Over the centuries, this rare document had been considered lost twice. Most recently, it was rediscovered in 2009 and is now at a Harvard College special collection. So it's basically like a handwritten document that was found. That is now that what they're talking about. They're showing a picture of it actually. So anyway, after that, I'm going to talk about a little about. I talked about yesterday. One of the facts. It was one page where it was just really just like a sentence or two that talked about again like a couple of interesting unknown facts about Black history, and I was interested about the Muse brothers, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that, and maybe finish this up, or this might be the last thing I talk about, and then I'll be done. Okay. And the Muse brothers, like I said, were again like one of those group of people that were using a part in the in the carnivals and the so-called circus and shows and stuff. In 19 and in 18. Well, wait a minute. Let me see here. I'm looking at the time. Okay, roll time. Now, this is from Vice.com, and I'm only going to read brief. I'm not going to sit there and read the whole thing. Okay, let's start here. The title is called A Horrifying True Story of the Black Brothers Forced to Become Circus Freaks. In a new book, True Vine, journalist Beth Macy details their mother's 3-decade quest to get her boys back. Yeah, so there's a book that I guess talks about the encounters of her mom trying to get these boys back. Because I also said in the picture, I was like, their faces, because it was black and white and they were with someone. But it was just, I finally realized why they look like that. And also if you put in like, what I think they said, like the Muse brothers in, you'll get information and see like a couple YouTube videos that talk about these brothers. Okay, in 1899, George and Willie Muse, okay, the Muse brothers, then 9 and 6, were abducted from Truvine, Virginia, and forced into the circus. The brothers were both albino, born of African American parents at a time in Southern history when blacks had little to no rights. Their white skin and black features gave them an exotic appearance that the Ringling brothers and the Brown and Brady's greatest short exploited by having them pretend to be cannibals, sheep-headed cocoa freaks, and ambassadors from Mars and sideshows. Now, before I read a little bit more, y'all, about this, and then it stopped. It is interesting and it's sad how long the Ringling Brothers and Bailey Showcase, the greatest show else, was able to run. I know it had been discontinued years and Kendrick the last shows, so forth. But it is a damn shame that how long they were able to run despite exploiting people, kidnapping. It just, okay. And of course, the animal, I know they stopped using, I don't know if they still, I haven't went to the Universal, so I only went there actually twice. I know this is rambling, but it's a damn shame, like how long the Ringling Brothers was able to roll. And I did not know about this fact. And I went a couple times as a child, okay, to the Ringling, so the greatest show on earth. Shame. Let me continue. The brothers were international superstars long before the age of television, playing to huge crowds in the Buckingham Palace and New York's Madison Square Garden. But throughout all this, their mother Harry refused to accept the fact that they were gone, and spent the better part of 3 decades trying to get them back. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to read a little bit more, and then I'm going to stop. Well, in a new book, True Vine, 2 Brothers, A Kidnapping and a Mother's Quest, a true story of the Jim Crow South. Out October 18th from Little Brown and Company, journalist Beth Macy gives a griping account of what black oppression was like at its most extreme during the beginning of the 20th century. She recounts the Muse brothers' tale, but more importantly, details their mother's quest to find them. For decades, the closely guarded story of how Echo and Eco, as they were called in the circus, became George and Willie once again, was only known to family members, many of them who were illiterate. It took Macy 25 years to get the full story, using gentle persistence and building trust with remaining family members before they shared the entire narrative with her. So yes, that's, that's quite a lengthy article, but, just to give you an idea, and I think they're doing an interview with the author, excuse me, y'all, who wrote that. So, I'm about to go to a couple Instagram, things real quick, little facts. I took a couple of them off already because, like I said, I already had them down. But I think I'm going to do one because, like I said, I try to make this like a shorter podcast. And one is called Support Black Art, and this is Carrie Beth Carr, November the 9th, born November 9th, 19th, 1947, and passed away September the 20th, 1997, was an amazing professional photographer who produced a powerful series of images titled Rites of Passage, which were taken by her during the birth of her daughter. Of her pictures, she is quoted to have said, "These photographs were taken by me during labor, between contractions, and during the actual delivery process. There are many feats in us and many challenges to still conquer. As unusual as this may appear, it was not difficult. It is my hope that this will serve as an inspiration to other women who may want to do the unthinkable, the utterly ridiculous." A resident of Northeast Baltimore, McQuire was an associate professor of fine arts at Copian State College, where she taught visual arts and photography courses, and an archivist for an African-American newspaper in Baltimore. A Baltimore native, Ms. Clark graduated from Forest Park High School in 1962 and received a B.S. in art education from the former Morgan State College in 1969. She earned 2 master's degrees, a fine photography from Pratt Institute of Art in New York in 1971, and a library science article and special collections from the University of Maryland, College Park, 1986. Excuse me, y'all. While attending Pratt Institute, she studied under renowned photographer Gordon Parks. From her more notable photography exhibits were visual works by 4 African-American women in 1996, Birth, Death, and Some Life in Between, 1996, Her Hands, Evidence of a Woman's Work in 1994, Proof Positive, Photographs of People Who Are HIV Positive, 1994, and States of Art in 1993. In addition, her photo essays were published frequently, including Janine Monsonet Ash's Viewfinders, Black Women Photographers, and in Photography for Black Photographers, an illustrated biography, 1940 through 1987 by Willis Thomas. Another unique focus of it was an array of pictures titled 100-Year-Old Hands, a project that 1976 led her to move in with her 103-year-old grandmother, in Louisiana, for 2 years. And the pictures they actually had showed, because like I said on here, and I mean, that's courage, but showed like she was taking a mirror. It wasn't like graphic images, but I have to give her, like I said, that was beautiful and bravery, and it's showing pictures, but it's from an angle that's, you're seeing her daughter come out, but you're not seeing anything graphic or anything. They're actually beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful pictures. And able to take pictures like that and giving birth. Oh, whew. Whoa. Okay, well, give me a second. Because after that, I may be finished for tonight because a couple of things I originally saved. Here is one. Okay, first recital, 12-year-old Nina Simone refused to start singing after her parents were moved from the front row to make room for whites. That's History Month. Okay, because a couple of things I wanted to say, I ended up already saying them, and like I said, here's one right here. Black people founded the city of Los Angeles. This is going to be the last little tidbit, little paragraph, and then I'm going to be done for tonight, or today. Okay. Los Angeles, California had a lot more black history than people realize. The city, founded in 1781 by a group of 44 Mexican settlers, and 26 of them were of African descent. People just Jose Pico was of both African and American descent, was one of the first governors of the area that is now known as the city of Los Angeles. Okay, this is also from, even though this is pretty shades of melanin, they got this from Black Excellent Tube. I guess the source is okay. I think I'm going to add them and probably see what else the sources we have. But that is it for y'all. Whatever. Hugs and loves and God bless. And I hope y'all enjoyed today. Happy birthday to anybody's birthday along with my mom's. And hugs and love and God bless everybody. And I'll see y'all in the next podcast. All right. Take care.